I will say with all sincerity, the two biggest laughs at the screening were two of your scenes, man. And it's obviously that scene, which I don't want to spoil, which is a great scene. But when you said that they're gonna go full Titanic, absolutely lost it. I lost it, and then the cinema apps lost it. So I genuinely had so much fun with this film. I love the Aussie larrikin and energy you bring to it, but that's an art form in itself, like the art of larrikinism. Because if you go too over, Australians cringe, and if it's too little, Americans don't really understand it. So, what were those conversations like with Will to sort of perfect this larrikinism? How did you approach this to him to get that right balance?
Well, I didn't really ask him about it. I just kind of just turned up and played my girlfriend's dad. He, but originally I played him as more of a serious character because
Hmm.
he's like, "Hey mate, I see you met my girlfriend," and then I go, "Oh, your tits sticking out, babe," and I look back and go like, "Hey mate, what up?" Like, and I played it more serious.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
goes, "No," and the director. So things changed as they went, they developed, and
Mm.
so it started like that, and then it finished with like, "Hey guys, how you going? You want to come?" Like he's just a genuine, sincere kind of guy. Um, but yeah, I think originally I was like, oh, well, who can I base this off? And I was like, maybe I'll base it off, my old girlfriend's dad because I played him in a when I was in drama school. I played him in like a verbatim theatre piece. So you record them, you listen to them, and you basically work reverse. So you come from instead of coming from trying to get to the character through your experience, you use them and they inform everything word for word exactly the same, listening to the voice. So it's very like robotic. But then
Yeah.
from there, it's really interesting because your voice kind of like becomes their voice in the show, and um, yeah, it's really interesting. So I think a lot of it, maybe like 30% at least 30% was based on that work that I'd done in drama school when I was playing him. And I messaged him as well. I messaged him. I said, "Hey, I've based a lot of this character off your voice." He goes, "Great." He just wrote, "Great." But I think he's excited for it. He's been sharing stuff. So yeah,
That's
I hope
awesome.
they enjoy it.
That's awesome. And look, the larrikin nature of Bo's character is such a big part of the comedic side, but there's the physicality to him as well. And I did
Yeah.
read that Will, when he was saying he was looking for Bo, wanted someone who's in that peak physical shape.
Oh yeah.
And I did read that when you got the call, you weren't feeling like you were 100% there yet. So can you tell me about the Kmart workout on the way to the audition?
Yeah, that was really interesting because I was on holiday with my new old girlfriend, who's now my old girlfriend. Here I am, just surrounded by old girlfriends in this. Yeah, so my last girlfriend, we're going around Tassie, we're having a good time, seeing the animals, the nature, whatever. And I'd just done two auditions for this film, and then I thought, you know, it's gone, it's done, because you usually do that. You shoot it off, you forget about it, and you just assume I haven't got it. You hope that you've got it, but you try not to hold on to that. Once it's gone, oh, forget about it. And so we're just traveling around Tassie, and then I get this message, call from my agent saying, "Hey, the director Will wants to meet you." And I was like, "Okay, well, I better find out who he is then, because I've just been sending off these tapes, not reading anything about um, the audition." I kind of do. I have a little brush up, but I've done so many auditions. I need to find out what's this for. Like, so I was like, "Oh, this is the rom-com one." I was like, "Sweet." So then I was like, and I looked up the top and it says, "We cannot stress," it was something along these lines. I've just read it recently, so it's pretty fresh in my head. "We cannot stress how fit he needs to be. Incredible swimmer, in peak shape, whatever." And I just been around Tassie for, you know, 3 weeks and I hadn't done any exercise.
So, but you're on holiday,
Oh,
so it makes
sweet,
sense.
sweet.
If you're 3 weeks off training, you're enjoying yourself, right?
Exactly, exactly. Like who's you might go for a swim at the beach, you might do some push-ups on the sand, but I don't usually use a gym anyway, so
Right.
um, it's no challenge for me. But I hadn't been eating much food. Might go to bed eating a couple of carrots or whatever. I'm just going around Tassie, and then I get this call. Maybe it was Hobart or the other one, Launceston, I think Launceston, and
Mm.
because there was no direct flights, and I had to fly over to Melbourne then to Sydney. But beforehand, I was like, it says he has to be in peak physical shape, and I was like, man, that's not me right now. And so I was like, damn. I was like, well, I hope the director's only seeing me because I'm not in my best shape right now. So I was like, what can I do? And I said to her, my old girlfriend, I said, what can I do to get into shape? So I grabbed two water jugs that we had on our Tassie trip. I started using them,
Yeah.
and they're in the
Nice.
cardboard box containers. But then
Mhm.
the water started to leak through because every time you go like this, a little bit sprays through the little hole at the top. That
Right.
way the
Yep.
water
Yep.
can come out easy. So I'm using these, and then a little bit of water starts spraying through, and the whole thing just next minute just crumbles in my hand. And the water jug just falls to the ground. I'm like, damn, like what am I meant to use now? Like doing push-ups on the ground using water jugs. I'm like, man, what do I do? So like I need to find where's dumbbells. I'm not going to join a gym membership. They're all closed. Oh, like some of them are closed, and some of them like they're like we're going to sign you up for a day, but secretly it's like a year. And
And
so
then
I'm
like
like,
$1,000 is
dude, I need
charged to
to
your credit card,
right
right? So
now.
it's,
What,
I was like, so
what was
that's
it?
how the
Sorry?
gyms get you. It's how the gyms get you. They just go one day and then next thing you know, there's $1,000 charged to your credit card. So you got to find the alternative, right?
Criminal. Criminal. Exactly, exactly. And I was like, I'm not signing up for a month. I know you secret little dirty tactics. Um, so I mean, I don't really like gyms, but I
Mm.
like outdoor gyms because it's
Yep.
in nature. And so I was just like, man, what do I do? So I looked up dumbbells and things, and I was like, oh, maybe I could go buy some. I went to a shop to try and buy some and use them, and then I was like, oh man, I'll go to Kmart. So I was like, I found a 24-hour Kmart because it was now 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I went to Kmart and grabbed these dumbbells, but there weren't any matching dumbbells. So I had a 12 and I had an 8, and I was just doing dumbbells, and I'd switch and I'd do it like that. And then I
Nice.
had a back roller using the back roller on the ground doing sit-ups. And then people used to walk past and go, you all right, mate? And I was like, yeah, yeah, why? Just testing the equipment. Um, and so, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I ended up doing in the end. And yeah, and I also went and bought a shirt that said road trip on it, a singlet.
Yeah.
And it was like $5 or something. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks cool, like a bit like the character, he's just an Australian guy on a road trip. And then I tried on all these different shorts, and I sent to my old girlfriend all the pictures, like, hey, check it out. Which one do you think I should go with? And I think she chose one, but I was like, oh, I want to wear the matching color. So I'm wearing matching singlet and matching shorts. And so I just look like one block color. And so I turn up to the audition. My plane lands. They say, we've only got this much time. We've got a very quick turnaround. And then we've got to get you back to Tassie. So you're landing at 11 and you're leaving at 12. And I was like, whoa, that's a really tight window. And so we land, and my plane's running a bit late. And so I ran to the car, and I hop in the car, and who's in the car but the other guy that I'm up against? And
Oh,
he's,
no.
nice button-up shirt, and he's in jeans. He's looking schmick. He's basically like the more handsome version of me, like really good jawline. And he's like, hey man, how are you? It's good to see you. And I was like, far out. I was like, just give him the role. Like he's way better anyway. He's more handsome. And so I was just sweating because, I'd run to the car from the airport because the plane landed late. But now I've only got 45 minutes to get to see the director and then fly back.
Mm.
And so we arrive, and the director, says, I actually before this, I said to the guy, I said, "Are you feeling nervous right now?" Because here I am, I'm biting my nails, like, I'm like, "Hey mate,
Yeah.
you're all right? You feeling all right?" And he goes, "No, I'm feeling good actually. I've
Oh,
been meditating on the plane." And I was like, "Oh," I said, "That's good." I said, "Oh, that's really
as
good to
your
hear." And I was like, "Oh, right, this guy's gonna nail it for sure." And so I was like, "I'm just gonna," and I had shorts underneath my shorts, so for that third scene where there's a
the
bit less
scene.
clothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that scene.
yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna go in and just whip my pants off in the audition room. I've got pants underneath my pants anyway. And so this guy's looking all schmick and everything. And I'm like, well, if he's looking schmick, I'm just gonna go give it a good, shake of the sauce bottle, go in and
Bloody
have some
oath.
fun. And on the third scene, that scene that you
Yeah,
refer
yeah,
to, the director, he hadn't even seen the other guy yet, and he goes, "That's our guy." He goes, "That's our guy." And then
yep.
but then the other guy came back in,
Mm.
and then he must like the other guy as well. And then he sent us both scripts again. He said it's got all those updated final lines of that scene.
Yep.
The phrases,
The names. Yeah.
the names, and so we went back in and did those names, and I was like, what the heck is this film turning into? Um, and then yeah, and so we did that, and then I flew back, and I was like, man, the other guy's got it. And I was just like, damn. And actually, the director before he left, he said, "Do you have any other skills?" And I said, "I can run underwater without a rock. Like I could just sink down and run on the bottom." And he goes, "Send that through." And I sent it through to him, and he was like, he used to introduce me to Sydney and Glenn. When I wasn't there, he said to him, Joe can run underwater. He can run underwater, and they're like, "What?" With like a rock, and he has no, I don't know. So when they first met me, they said, "Are you the guy that can run underwater?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then he showed them the video, and yeah. So it was fun. I finally got the job, and
Yeah.
and I guess I didn't know like it was going to be like a pretty big rom com for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. It was awesome.
That's like a peak audition story, man. Like that's unreal. This series of events, and look how it's paid off. Look how it's paid off because, like you said, generally this is a huge rom com, and it played so well at our screening, and I think there's so much hype going into this, and I feel like it's so interesting, looking back at what you've done before because I read an interview where you're doing Fred and Edward Scissorhands at Movie World and Neighbors and things like that. What were those experiences like for you, and what were the essential takeaways from doing that early in your career that was so essential to help you on the set of a big Hollywood rom-com?
Hmm. I don't know. I feel like I think maybe movie world helps you with working around people. That live
Yep.
show aspect. Drama school was good right with that. The live shows. Theater.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot of fun. I think as well, like drama school was really good at helping you to be big. And
Yeah.
this
Okay. Yeah.
energy is this character's not a natural character. I mean, you might meet people like this, but there are exceptions to the, hey guys, how you going? But you meet some people sometimes that are like, hey mate, how you going? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and that's just the energy they are. And I don't. I think it might have been harder for me to access this role if I hadn't gone to drama school. So,
Right. Yeah.
and if I hadn't gone to North Queensland, if I hadn't, um, yeah, I don't know. And I think Neighbours is really good because anything after Neighbours feels easy because there's
Mm.
just so much dialogue being pumped at you. You're like, whoa, I've got 2 days to try and sell this. I was like, far out. Like, this isn't going to be my best performance ever at all. Like, I'm really going to, try and sell this conversation that I'm having with, my girlfriend about going to jail or whatever. But I don't know if I can, I'm going to try and connect to this as best I can. But I've got like 2 days, to
Yeah.
learn 21 pages of dialogue. Like, this is
Oh
really tricky.
God.
Yeah, so I think they all help. It all adds up.
Yeah.
Everything can be added to the little tool belt of tricks. But yeah, it's really good. Yeah, they're all good. They're just little things lessons that you take on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you because I read an interview that you love film, that you were a big movie fan, and I think last year you were talking about how you're trying to catch up with so many films. But I want to ask you about sort of your formative film experiences. What were the movies that you fell in love with that may have been the inspirations to lead towards down this path in acting? What movies did Joe Davidson love?
I think Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings has
Oh,
always been.
yes,
They've always been my favorites. Do you like it?
love it. Me and my friends do the
Love
extended
it.
marathon at least once a year. Yeah.
Yeah, people like. I was actually just saying to these guys that I'm saying with these are some of my friends from my previous job.
Mm.
Um, they, and I was just saying to them, you guys haven't seen Lord of the Rings? I said, I've watched it. Lord of the Rings is great. So I think Lord of the Rings would definitely be right up there because it's just such an epic movie to escape
Mm.
into. And I always wanted to be in like a medieval thing, swinging a sword around, and
Nice.
like I just love those stories. The Viking kind of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, anything like that. Like I've always loved.
Mm.
But I think for me, probably Lord of the Rings. I like Austin Powers. Maybe that's where I
Oh,
got like the joy. The joy. Austin Powers is an absolute cracker, classic. We were just
yeah.
talking about that as well. So Austin Powers today, bit quicker. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think. Yeah, there's so many. I don't know where to start and where to end. I've just saw Ghost the other day. Have you seen Ghost?
Oh, with the Patrick Swayze film.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah,
incredible movie. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing I used to just watch any movie, but now I try and watch the ones that critics and normal people say are incredible because I just don't have that much time. So I try and
of
watch
course.
as many as I can. But I try and watch the ones that people say, "Oh, this is an incredible movie." So that way, I try and try and absorb. Uh, try and absorb it.
Yeah, yeah.
Take.
Were there any that was sort of formative for you in regards to wanting to pursue acting? Like I know you talked about the medieval one, doing a medieval film, but was there one that you kind of watched and went, "That's I can do that. Like that's what I want to do."
I think all of them.
Yeah,
Um, I think when I watch movies, at least, I don't know about other actors, but whenever I see a role, I go, I can do that.
Yeah,
And
nice.
it's not in like a cocky way. It's not like I can do that. I can do that better than them or whatever. But when I see someone else do it, I go, if they can do it, I can do it. A lot of people see stuff and they go, you know, um, um, that's they did a really hard performance. They're the only person that could do it. I remember even in film school back on the Gold Coast, I was like, you know, there was an audition tape where a girl turns around in her audition tape, a famous actress, and I turned around in my audition tape as well, and they said, "Oh, you can't do that. Only um, uh, um, what's the girl's name from Notebook? Not Ryan Gosling.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, sweet. I was thinking Rachel Griffiths. I was like, no, 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 that's from Alpha. Yeah.
That's the
Rachel
other
McAdams, only
romantic
Rachel
movie.
McAdams.
That's the other romantic
Yeah,
movie. She's
yeah,
in that one. Yeah.
yeah. But my classmates would say only Rachel McAdams can do that. And I was like, no, I can do that. Everyone can do it. Like so yeah, I think when I watch performances, I try and take on board those
Mm,
things. And I think if they can do it, I can do it. I just need
yeah.
to work really hard. Maybe it's natural and easy for them, but I could definitely do it. I just need to work harder to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I see it, I go, okay, it's possible.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, Joe, I'll wrap up real quick now because I got one more question for you. And obviously, I don't want to say what the song is, but the Serenity song plays a big part of anyone but you. And I know what mine is, and mine resonated with me. But I want to know, does Joe Davidson himself? Do you have a Serenity song? Is there something you listen to that centers you? Maybe not in the heightened
Oh,
comedic aspect of how it works in this film, but is there something you go to for that sort of Serenity?
so I came into this interview, I'd read this question, and I thought
Yes,
that I was going to talk about the Shrek songs because I love the Shrek songs. But
it's
I
a
think
banging soundtrack. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I know, right? Shrek 1, Shrek 2.
yeah.
Incredible. Shrek 2 is my favorite. But Shrek 1, incredible movie as well. Shrek 1, Shrek 2, incredible.
Shrek One was
But
one
for
of
me,
the first movies I ever saw in the cinema, like as a young kid. Like
yeah,
it's formative, right, man? Yeah, and that soundtrack's unreal.
yeah, yeah. And Shrek 2, like I Need a Hero. But I
Yeah,
think for me, um, I think the thing that centers me is listening to Greatest Showman. I always listen to Greatest Showman when I'm
no,
on my way to an audition,
yeah,
because there's if it's a half an hour drive, the track I play at 1.1 times speed, and I drive there and I listen to that, and I sing along to it, and it's like for me, it's a really good vocal warm up because all the songs are so different,
yeah.
and like that song with Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron. Uh, I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that one's very very fast paced, and it's very
There's one where they're kind of
yeah
back and forth singing at each other, right? That, yeah, I
yeah
know the one
yeah
you're
yeah
talking of. Yeah.
yeah really good for like alliteration and like
Mm,
getting your tongue all warmed up and ready to
that's
go
cool.
and yeah yeah. So I think for me like Greatest Showman's probably the one that like centers me the most. But I thought I was going to say Shrek. I thought I was going to be talking about Shrek this one, but I think in the moment I think Greatest Showman's probably it's one of the most played things on my phone. It's right up there because I listen to it every audition that I'm driving to.
Yeah. And I mean, look, Shrek, the soundtrack would have been the right answer too, because the end credits of Shrek, where everyone's singing together, is reminding me of how great the last bit of Anyone But You is. The credits in this, it just such a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
throwback to those early 2000s comedy films, and everyone was just so cheerful and happy with that as well. So it was
yeah.
unreal.
How
Um,
good's the giant gingerbread man?
Oh, it's so good. If we had an hour, man, we could talk about Shrek all day long because it is unreal. It's so good. But like I said, you like genuinely the two biggest laughs came from you. So it's such a fun movie. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to take my girlfriend to see it when it comes out on Boxing Day. I can't wait to watch it again. But Joe, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat today, man. And look, I hope you have a safe Christmas and a happy New Year as well. And I hope we get to talk again soon for some other projects.
Yeah, I'll see you in Queensland. Might see you in Sydney. Who knows?
Who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, bring some of the weather with you. It's pretty miserable lately.
Check out the weather here right now.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
go
want
on,
to.
yeah.
It's all
Oh,
rainy.
okay. I can't complain. I'm like, we got some clouds, but I can't complain. So, but when the sun's out, man, we'll come out and we'll definitely catch up.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Love it.